It all started with whispers. Just days after Claressa sat on that podcast glowing, talking about how she could not wait to start a family with Papoose next year, the internet exploded with a storm that no one saw coming. Screenshots, leaks, cryptic posts. And before anyone could even blink, timelines were flooded with one brutal truth: Papoose might already be cheating. People online were not holding back. "You lose them the same way you get them," they wrote, and honestly, that line hit different this time. Because if there is one thing the internet loves more than a love story, it is watching karma come full circle. See, back when Claressa first got with Papoose, the streets were already talking. The rumors said he was still with Remy. People warned her. Even Remy herself tried to tell her, "He is using you." But Claressa brushed it off. She thought Remy was just being bitter, jealous, desperate for attention. But now? The receipts are speaking louder than anyone's pride ever could. According to Remy, Papoose is not just unfaithful, he is broke, couch-hopping, and using relationships like stepping stones to climb back into fame. She says he moved in with Claressa just to get his money up. And as wild as that sounds, it gets darker. Remy leaked screenshots from his own phone. She claims she took them while he was asleep in her house. Yup, imagine that, the man asleep in your bed, secretly texting someone else, and you are just sitting there watching the messages pop up. Then boom, she blasts everything online. Her caption was pure chaos: "Papoose dumb self fell asleep on the phone with Claressa, in my house. This man's supposed to be a champion, but he hung up real quick the second he heard my voice." She dragged Claressa, her PR team, even accused them of spinning fake stories to make her look crazy while painting Papoose as the perfect man. And then she dropped the bomb: "He told me he would never sleep with you because you are ugly. But I saw everything. The world will see it too." At that point, the internet lost its mind. Memes, reaction videos, live Twitter spaces dissecting every word, it was a full-blown social media meltdown. Up until that moment, no one even knew Claressa and Papoose were a thing. So imagine the shock. It was like finding out your favorite movie had a secret ending no one ever saw coming. And of course, Claressa was not going to stay silent. She fired back. "How a woman with 2 boyfriends mad at a man who has a girlfriend," she wrote. "If I am not the only one, why are you tagging me, baby?" For a whole week, the two women went at it like gladiators in the comment section. Fans picked sides. Some said Remy was just bitter, others said Claressa was getting a taste of her own medicine. Meanwhile, Papoose? Silent. Not a single word. Not even a denial. And maybe that is the scariest part, when silence screams louder than the accusations. Because right now, everyone is wondering, is this the end of Claressa and Papoose? Or just another twisted chapter in a love story built on lies, betrayal, and a little too much pride? For weeks, Papoose stayed silent. While Remy aired every dirty secret lie for the world to see, he sat back, quiet, watching his name burn across the internet. But silence has an expiration date, and when he finally broke it, he did not hold back. He posted a photo that sent shockwaves through social media: Remy, curled up on Christmas Day, not with family, not with him, but with her rumored boyfriend, easy to block captain. The caption was pure venom: "While I was home with my daughter last Christmas, this is where Remy was. Now that I have moved on, she is angry and making up lies. Narcissist." And that was just the beginning. He continued, exposing the messages she allegedly sent him, begging him to lie about what really happened that night. "She did not want me to admit I knocked this man out," he wrote. "But I still have the receipts. Last time I saw him, he was in the fetal position. Everyone saw it." The internet froze. Wait, Papoose fought her boyfriend? And won? Within minutes, timelines were on fire. Memes, reactions, voiceovers, people could not believe this was real life. But then he dropped the line that broke the internet: "I didn't knock him out because he slept with my wife. I knocked him out because he shook my hand and then slept with my wife." You could hear the digital gasp echo across every platform. This wasn't gossip anymore, this was betrayal in its purest, ugliest form. And as crazy as it sounded, Papoose wasn't lying about one thing: this was only the beginning. Because right after his post went viral, Remy jumped back online, and she came swinging. Her tone? Unhinged. Wounded. Furious. The woman who once stood proudly beside him at award shows was now breaking down on live, her voice shaking as she confessed what led her to cheat. She said Papoose was broke, not metaphorically, but financially broke. According to her, he was desperate for stability, and Claressa was just a place to stay. She accused him of lying to the world about their so-called perfect black love story, claiming he was out cheating while she was behind bars, even getting side chicks pregnant. And while her words were filled with rage, there was something deeper: pain. This wasn't just a rant, it was years of resentment bleeding out in real time. She said she was tired of being the villain, tired of pretending everything was fine while her heart was cracking beneath the surface. Thousands of people watched live as Remy cried, screamed, and exposed every piece of the relationship the world once idolized. But baby, Papoose wasn't about to let her have the final word. Within minutes of her logging off, he came right back. The man who once preached loyalty in silence snapped, and what came next was raw, powerful, and painfully human. He said he gave up everything for her, his career, his spotlight, just to stand by her side while she served time. And how did she repay him? With betrayal. He described the nights he'd sit alone, defending her, while she was out sneaking around with other men. His words weren't loud, but they cut like knives. He called her out for pretending to be loyal while living a double life. He even revealed that they went to therapy, because despite everything, the lies, the humiliation, the infidelity, he still wanted to fix it. Imagine that, a man, humiliated in public, still choosing to fight for love. That is not weakness, that is heartbreak trying to heal itself. But love can only survive so many cracks before it collapses completely. What the world thought was a power couple, hip-hop's Bonnie and Clyde, was actually a story of endurance, denial, and slow destruction. The filtered photos, the interviews about loyalty, the perfect smiles, all smoke and mirrors hiding a marriage already on fire. And now, that fire is burning in public for everyone to see. And remember when Remy claimed he was broke? Turns out, that might have been the biggest twist of all. Because when Papoose finally opened his mouth, the truth flipped like a switch. He said it was actually Remy who had been struggling behind the scenes. The woman everyone thought was winning, the one flexing luxury and success, was, according to him, quietly calling him for help. He said she begged for money when her checks stopped clearing. He said he was the one paying the bills, keeping the lights on, covering the damage while she chased clout and forgot who truly held her down. And that one confession changed everything. For years, social media had painted Papoose as the man riding her wave, surviving off her fame. But now, that narrative cracked wide open. Suddenly, the broke husband was the provider, the foundation, the one carrying the weight while being painted as a burden. And just when you thought it could not get messier, he went there. He brought up the old beef, yes, that one. Remy versus Nicki Minaj. The feud that defined an era. The one that made headlines, that had the whole industry picking sides. Papoose claimed that while Remy was out here clowning Nicki for supposedly having ghostwriters, she herself wasn't writing all her bars either. The internet lost it. That one line sent fans straight into investigation mode. They started digging up old interviews, comparing verses, looking for anything that would confirm what he said. The irony was too thick to ignore. The same accusations she used to tear another woman down were now coming back to haunt her. Whether or not it was true didn't even matter. In this digital age, perception is everything, and perception was turning fast. Twitter spaces filled up like digital courtrooms. TikTok became a battlefield of theories. Instagram lives turned into panels where strangers debated loyalty, love, and lies like it was a Netflix series unfolding in real time. Everyone had an opinion. Some said Papoose was bitter, finally snapping after years of being controlled. Others said Remy had this coming, that she built her empire on the illusion of loyalty and was now crumbling under the same energy she once threw at others. But the truth? The truth was darker. Two people who once built a fortress of love had become enemies with nothing left to lose. And when love turns to war, the casualties are never clean. Remy did not stay silent for long. A few hours later, she came back swinging. But this time, her voice wasn't shaking. No tears. No softness. Just pure, cold fire. She accused Papoose of manipulating the truth, of playing the victim to win public sympathy. She said he was obsessed, that he could not stand seeing her move on and rebuild without him. And then she started dropping her bombs. She said he had been controlling for years, always checking her phone, showing up unannounced at events, trying to isolate her from friends and colleagues. She even hinted that his so-called loyalty came wrapped in emotional manipulation, guilt trips disguised as devotion. It was no longer about love, it was about power, control, and who would own the last word. It was messy. It was painful. But more than anything, it was real. Because beneath all the accusations, there was tragedy. These were not just celebrities caught in a tabloid headline, these were two souls who had once fought the world together. Who had whispered promises through prison phones, dreamed of freedom, and built something that looked unbreakable. They were proof that love could survive humiliation, distance, and pain. Until it didn't. How does something that once felt like destiny rot into bitterness? How does devotion turn into destruction? Maybe it starts small, a lie here, an argument there, until one day, you wake up next to a stranger wearing the face of the person you used to love. And even through all his rage, you could tell, Papoose wasn't hungry for fame. He looked tired. Broken. When he said he gave up his career for her, it wasn't pride in his voice. It was grief. He had defended her when the world mocked her, stood by her when her name was dirt, held her hand when she was locked behind cold steel bars. He believed in her. And that belief became his undoing. Meanwhile, Remy seemed to be fighting ghosts, maybe guilt, maybe pride, maybe the fear of finally being seen as human. Because when the world crowns you strong, it doesn't give you permission to fall apart. Maybe that's why she fought back so hard, because admitting pain would mean admitting defeat. As the days passed, the chaos only deepened. Old friends started choosing sides. Some posted cryptic messages like digital landmines. Screenshots surfaced, some real, some doctored, but at that point, truth didn't matter. Narrative did. The internet had made up its mind. Papoose, the heartbroken husband turned bitter ex Remy, the fallen queen who couldn't keep her crown clean. Every podcast had an opinion. Every gossip page wanted a piece. It wasn't love anymore, it was entertainment. But if you listened closely, through the noise and the hashtags, you could still hear it, the echo of what once was. The laughter, the loyalty, the kind of love that could have lasted forever if pride hadn't poisoned it. Some fans still hoped for reconciliation. They said, maybe they'll work it out. Maybe this is just another storm. After all, they had survived worse. But this time felt different. Divorce papers were filed. Words had been said that could never be unsaid. And sometimes, that's how real love ends, not with a goodbye, but with silence loud enough to break your heart. In the end, both Remy and Papoose didn't just lose each other, they lost the very image they'd built together. They became walking cautionary tales about what happens when love turns into ego, when loyalty becomes a weapon, and when two people who were once a team start playing against each other. Their story is a brutal reminder that love, no matter how powerful, can't survive pride. Because once you start keeping score in a relationship, nobody wins. And maybe one day, when the noise finally dies down, they'll both look back and realize that the real tragedy was never the cheating, never the lies, never the scandals. The real tragedy was losing the only person who truly knew them. The one who saw every flaw, every wound, every mistake, and still stayed. Because once that kind of love is gone, no fame, no revenge, no public sympathy can fill the silence it leaves behind. But just when everyone thought the chaos had reached its peak, another twist dropped. Rumor had it, Claressa, the woman Papoose had moved on to, wasn't exactly who people thought she was. You see, the internet started piecing things together, and what they found changed everything. Word started spreading that those powerful verses Claressa had been praised for, those emotional, fiery lines that made people call her the next big thing, might not have been hers at all. Because apparently, Papoose was the one writing them. Yes, you heard that right. The man who had been accused of using Claressa for fame was allegedly the one behind her success the entire time. He was ghostwriting her raps, shaping her delivery, building her image, turning her into the artist everyone thought she naturally was. And suddenly, all those interviews where she talked about her truth and authentic voice started to sound hollow. Because if Papoose was really the pen behind the power, then Remy's words, that he was using Claressa, might not have been jealousy after all. Maybe she had been telling the truth the entire time, and nobody wanted to believe her because it sounded too bitter to be real. And that realization changed everything. Because when you look back at the timeline, the captions, the studio photos, the little hints he dropped in lyrics, it starts to feel less like a love story and more like a setup. A game of control, reputation, and ego. But the story didn't stop there. Word on the street is that Papoose has been stepping out again. Not once. Not twice. Consistently. And the woman he's allegedly been linked to? Younger. Hungrier. The complete opposite of Claressa. Nobody knows exactly where the rumors started. Some say it was a friend who couldn't stay quiet, others say it was a stylist who overheard too much, but one thing is clear, the whispers have now become full-blown conversations. And social media? Oh, it's eating this up like a late-night soap opera. Memes. Reaction videos. Think pieces. Every platform turned into a courtroom of opinions. Especially because, and this is what makes it sting, just days before all this chaos exploded, Claressa had been glowing on camera. She was smiling ear to ear, talking about how she couldn't wait to start a family with Papoose next year, how she trusted him completely, how their bond was unbreakable. Now, that same woman is being dragged online as another one who got played. The internet is brutal, and it loves irony. One day you're the main character of a fairy tale, the next, you're a trending topic under #CheatedAgain. This whole situation with Papoose, Remy, and Claressa has become its own ecosystem of drama, a never-ending saga of betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge that refuses to die down. It's almost poetic how it keeps spiraling, each twist more explosive than the last. Screenshots waiting to drop, secret recordings rumored to exist, DMs that people swear will change everything if they ever see daylight. The tension feels unfinished, like the calm before a second storm. Every single day, something new happens. A cryptic post here. A shady like there. A random podcast clip where someone accidentally lets something slip. The chaos feels scripted, but it's real. Painfully real. And the audience? They can't look away. People are split. One tweet said, "Remy's clearly the loser here, every outburst just ruins her legacy." Both of them are wrong for airing it out, but she's destroying her own value. But others aren't so quick to agree. Some believe Remy's bitterness might be coming from something deeper, something the public hasn't seen yet. Because if there's one thing social media loves more than gossip, it's detective work. And now, fans are turning into investigators. Threads, screenshots, timestamps, all turning into digital evidence. People are comparing interviews, matching outfits to dates, rewinding old live streams to catch hidden clues. One user even claimed they spotted the new girl in the background of one of Papoose's old studio videos months ago, before anyone knew an affair was even possible. Whether that's fact or pure internet imagination, no one knows. But that doesn't matter. Because at this point, the suspicion alone is enough to fuel the fire. And that's the cruel part of modern love. Once the public gets a taste of your downfall, they don't stop watching. They turn your heartbreak into content. Your pain becomes their entertainment. And somewhere between all the tweets and tears, the people in the story stop being human and start being hashtags. At first, Claressa tried to keep it classy, or at least, that was the plan. When the rumors first broke, she did what most people in love do when the truth feels too loud. She went quiet. No posts. No stories. No public appearances. For a while, people thought maybe she was processing, maybe she was choosing peace over chaos. But peace doesn't last long in the age of social media. One night, out of nowhere, she dropped a single caption that broke the internet. Loyalty hits different when it's one-sided. That was it. No names. No hashtags. Just heartbreak disguised as elegance. But that one sentence said everything. Every letter dripped with pain, the kind of pain that doesn't come from rumors, but from truth. You could almost feel her shaking as she typed it, trying to hold her dignity together while the world watched her heart fall apart. And that's the tragedy, isn't it? When someone who used to love out loud suddenly goes silent, you know something real broke behind the scenes. Of course, Remy didn't waste a second before jumping into the fire. She started posting her own cryptic messages. "Didn't I say this would happen?" And, "When you build your house on lies, don't cry when it collapses." Fans didn't need context, they already knew who the shade was for.